How to build meaningful relationships after 60 without starting over. When connection exists, but depth feels missing. You might already have people in your life: family, friends, acquaintances, neighbors, people you talk to, people you check in with, people you have known for years. And from the outside, it may look like you are connected, but sometimes something still feels missing. Conversations stay on the surface. Time together feels routine. You talk about appointments, family updates, the weather, what happened last week. And there is nothing wrong with ordinary conversation. It has its place. But sometimes you walk away feeling like no one really touched the deeper part of you. There was contact, but not closeness. There was talking, but not true understanding. And the thought quietly appears, is this just how it is now? But here's the truth. Meaningful relationships do not disappear after 60. They just require a different approach. Because at this stage of life, you are not trying to collect more people. You are trying to create more honesty, more presence, more emotional safety, more room to be fully yourself. And you may not need to start over. You may simply need to show up differently. Part 1. What meaningful really means. A meaningful relationship is not about how long you have known someone. It is not about how often you talk. It is not about how many people you have around you. Meaningful relationships are not perfect. They are real. A meaningful relationship is one where you feel understood, where you feel comfortable, where you can be yourself, where you do not have to perform, where you can share something honest and not feel judged for it. It is the kind of relationship where silence does not feel empty, where laughter feels easy, where someone knows more than your schedule. They know what matters to you. They notice when your energy has changed. That is meaningful. And after 60, this kind of connection becomes even more important because life becomes less about impressing people and more about being known, less about popularity and more about peace. A social life can be busy, but a meaningful relationship makes you feel seen. Part 2. Why depth can fade over time. Depth can fade slowly, and it is not always anyone's fault. Over time, routines take over. People get used to each other. Conversations become predictable. Everyone knows their role. One person always gives advice. One person always keeps things light. One person always avoids conflict. One person always says, "I'm fine," even when they are not. And after a while, relationships can become comfortable, but not necessarily close. This is the comfort trap. Familiar relationships often stay safe, but safe can sometimes become repetitive, surface level, emotionally distant. Not because people do not care, but because they stop reaching. They stop asking better questions. They stop sharing new parts of themselves. They stop being curious. And when curiosity disappears, depth begins to fade. This can happen in friendships, in marriages, with adult children, with siblings, even with people you love deeply. You may talk often, but still avoid what is real. And after 60, that can feel painful, because time feels more precious. You may not want endless small talk anymore. You may want conversations that matter. That desire is not too much. It is human. Part 3. Why relationship quality matters. Science supports what many people already feel. Connection is not just pleasant, it is protective. Research has linked loneliness and social isolation with higher risks of depression, cognitive decline, heart disease, dementia, stroke, and premature mortality. But here is the important part. It is not only about having people around you. It is about the quality of those relationships. You can have many contacts and still feel unsupported. You can speak to several people in a week and still feel unknown. The body responds differently to supportive connection than it does to shallow contact. When you feel emotionally safe with someone, your nervous system can soften. Your stress response can settle. Your breathing may slow. Your body may feel less guarded. Supportive relationships help the body feel accompanied, and feeling accompanied changes how stress feels. A problem shared with the right person does not always disappear, but it can feel lighter. A hard day may still be hard, but it feels less lonely when someone understands. That is why meaningful relationships matter after 60. They do not just fill time, they help regulate the system. They support emotional balance, and they remind the body you are not carrying life alone. Part 4. You don't always need new people. This is where many people go wrong. They think, I need to meet new people to feel connected. And sometimes new people can help. A new class, a new group, a new friend, a new community. These can be wonderful, but often depth does not come from starting over. It comes from changing how you show up in relationships that already exist. Because many relationships are not dead, they are just underfed. They have history, they have familiarity, they have shared memories, they have a foundation. But they may need fresh attention, better questions, more honesty, more presence, more room for real conversation. Think of it like a garden. You do not always need new land. Sometimes you need to return to the soil you already have, pull a few weeds, water what has been neglected, and see what can still grow. An old friendship can become meaningful again. A relationship with an adult child can become warmer. A marriage can gain new honesty. A familiar acquaintance can become a real friend. But something has to change. Not everything, just the way you enter the relationship. Part 5. From surface to real. Meaningful connection begins with 3 things: honesty, presence, openness. Not all at once, not dramatically, but gradually. Honesty means you stop hiding every real feeling behind "I'm fine." Presence means you stop half listening while your mind is somewhere else. Openness means you leave room for the other person to surprise you. Because people are more than the version of them we got used to. Your spouse may still have fears you do not know. Your friend may still have dreams they rarely say out loud. Your adult child may be carrying stress they do not share. Your sibling may have regrets they keep buried. Even people you have known for years still have inner world. Depth begins when you become curious about that inner world. Meaningful connection, and sometimes the doorway is small. A better question, a quieter moment, a little more patience, a willingness to listen without immediately fixing. Because many people do not need advice first. They need space. They need someone who can hear them without rushing them. That is where depth begins. Part 6. Change the conversation slightly. You do not need dramatic talks. You do not need to force emotional conversations. Instead, go one layer deeper. Instead of, "How are you?" Try, "How have you really been feeling lately?" Instead of, "Did you have a good week?" Try, "What has been taking most of your energy this week?" Instead of, "What's new?" Try, "What is something you have been thinking about lately?" Instead of, "How's the family?" Try, "What has been feeling good in your life right now?" Or, "What has been feeling heavy?" Small shift, big difference. Because better questions invite better answers. Not always immediately. Some people may still say, "Oh, I'm fine." That is okay. Depth takes time. You are not forcing a confession. You are creating a safer doorway. And if you keep showing up with genuine curiosity, eventually some people will step through. Part 7. Share a little more of yourself. Depth does not start only with others. It often starts with you. If every conversation stays polished, everyone else may stay polished too. But when you share a little more honestly, you create permission. You do not have to overshare. You do not have to tell everything. Just share one real layer. You might say, "I've been thinking a lot about how life is changing," or "I've been feeling quieter lately and I'm trying to understand why," or "I miss the way we used to talk," or "I'm trying to be more intentional about connection." These kinds of statements are simple but powerful. They tell the other person, this conversation can be real. Research on relationships has shown that appropriate self-disclosure can support closeness and trust. But the key is gradual sharing. not dumping everything, not forcing vulnerability, just honest sharing at the level the relationship can hold, one layer at a time. And when you share a little truth, the other person may feel safer sharing theirs. This is how depth grows, not through one dramatic conversation, but through many small moments of honesty. Part 8. Be fully present. Meaningful connection requires attention, not half listening, not distracted conversation, not looking at the phone every few minutes. Presence is simple, but it is rare. And because it is rare, it is powerful. When you give someone your full attention, they feel it. Your body turns toward them. Your eyes soften. Your pace slows. You listen to understand, not just to respond. This kind of attention tells the nervous system, you matter right now. And after 60, that can be deeply healing, because many people feel rushed, overlooked, reduced to roles: parent, grandparent, patient, spouse, helper, older person. But presence says, I see the person behind the role. That is meaningful. And presence does not only help the other person, it helps you too. Conversation asks the brain to listen, remember, respond, and emotionally adjust. It keeps the mind engaged with another human being. That kind of engagement matters. Part 9. Create time that allows depth. Quick check-ins rarely go deep. They keep contact alive. But depth usually needs unhurried time. A walk, a meal, a long cup of tea, a quiet drive, a shared project, gardening together, cooking together, sitting outside without rushing. These moments create room, because people often open up when they do not feel pressured to open up. Sometimes the best conversations happen side by side, not face to face. On a walk, in the kitchen, in the car, on a bench. Doing something simple, the body relaxes, the pressure drops, and words come more naturally. So do not underestimate simple time together. Deep needs space. And space is something you can create, not by forcing people, but by slowing down enough for real conversation to appear. Part 10. Accept that not everyone will go deep. This is important. Not everyone is able or willing to go deeper. Some people prefer surface-level interaction. Some people avoid emotion. Some people were never taught how to talk about what they feel. Some people become uncomfortable when conversation turns honest. And that is okay. It does not mean you did something wrong. It does not mean they do not care. It may simply mean that person has a different capacity for depth. Part of emotional maturity after 60 is learning where to place your energy. Some relationships are for laughter. Some are for history. Some are for practical support. Some are for shared interests. Some are for deep honesty. Not every person can be every kind of connection. And when you accept that, you stop demanding depth from people who cannot give it. That protects your heart. Focus on those who are open. Notice who listens. Notice who asks back. Notice who makes room for your truth. Those are the relationships where depth can grow. Part 11. Depth is built through trust. Trust builds over time, through consistency, honesty, presence, repair, reliability, not through perfection. Real trust is not the absence of mistakes. It is the belief that the relationship can survive honesty, repair, and human imperfection. After 60, many people carry old wounds, friendships that faded, family disappointments, losses that left a mark, conversations that were never finished. So opening up again can feel risky. The nervous system remembers. It may say, be careful. Don't say too much. Don't need too much. That protective voice is understandable. But if it runs everything, relationships remain shallow. So trust must be rebuilt gently. You do not give everyone full access to your heart. You watch for consistency. Do they listen? Do they respect what you share? Do they show up when they say they will? Can they handle small honesty? Can they repair after misunderstanding? These are signs of emotional safety. And emotional safety is the soil where meaningful relationships grow. Part 12. A gentler approach to connection. You do not need to force depth. You do not need to rush it. You do not need to turn every conversation into therapy. You just need to show up slightly differently, again and again. Ask one better question. Listen a little longer. Share one honest thought. Put the phone away. Make space for unhurried time. Notice who responds. Notice where warmth grows. And let the relationship develop at its own pace. Depth is built through small signals repeated over time. I am here. I am listening. You matter. You can be real with me. And when those signals are mutual, trust begins to grow. Not overnight, but steadily. This is how relationships become meaningful again. Not by starting over, but by returning with more intention. Without starting over. Meaningful relationships do not just happen. They are created through small moments, honest conversations, consistent presence, patient listening, shared experiences, and the courage to be a little more real. You do not need more people. You need more presence and honesty within the relationships that are able to hold it. And yes, some relationships may stay on the surface. Let them. Not every connection has to become deep. But when you find the people who are open, water those relationships. Give them time. Give them attention. Give them truth. Because after 60, depth is not a luxury. It is nourishment. It is steadiness for the mind. It is warmth for the nervous system. You do not have to start over. You simply begin again, inside the life you already have, with one better question, one honest sentence, one slower conversation, one shared walk, one moment of real presence. Because meaningful relationships are not always found in brand new places. Sometimes they are waiting inside familiar ones, ready to deepen when someone is brave enough to go first. In the next episode, we will take this even deeper by looking at how to build stronger bonds after 60, one step at a time. Not through pressure, not through perfection, but through small moments of trust, better communication, patience, repair, and the quiet courage to keep showing up. Because meaningful relationships are not built in one grand moment. They are built in the ordinary moments we choose not to overlook. Until then, keep nurturing the connections that matter and stay re-inspired.
I hope this video brought you value and re-inspired you. If so, please subscribe, hit like, and leave a comment. And if anybody you know could use a little re-inspiration, please send it to them. Thank you so much for watching.